decided to record this video from a different perspective and different location today. So hope everybody's having a great afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are, and just enjoying sitting here, absorbing the sunset and getting ready to go to bed in the next few hours. I wanted to talk with you all today just about why we should strive to get ahead. And I've shot a lot of videos in the past that have had to do with tenets of getting ahead, like things to do in order to get ahead. But I really have not laid out those reasons in a concise video for you all. So really, that's the point and purpose of doing this today. Because, I mean, let's face it, doing things to get ahead, it's not easy, it's hard. It takes a lot of focus, a lot of discipline. And so I want to give you some reassurance that if you're doing the things to get ahead, you're heading in the right direction. So I've got 4 reasons that I want to discuss. You can probably hear that car revving its engine a little bit. Sounds pretty good, right? Okay, first reason for going along the journey of getting ahead is that it makes you feel like you deserve more for yourself. Now, this applies to a job, right? What we do. If we're going out and achieving more for ourselves, then we're probably gonna feel like we deserve more. Like if we go to school for a longer period of time or we achieve a higher degree, we're not gonna find those same jobs as interesting or appealing that maybe we would have found interesting or appealing if we wouldn't have went to as much school. Same could be said about a partner. If we're working on ourselves and doing the best we can to better how we present, how we are, and working on our weaknesses or communication, we're not gonna feel like partners who are not doing those things are worth our time. And that's not from a place of ego, right? That's not from a place of feeling like we're inherently better than other people. It's frankly just a matter of being on the same page and having a partner who challenges you to do better and to be better. Another could be our standard of living, and that's not to be confused with the house we live in, how big of a house or what we drive, but more so the things that we choose to do that affect our standard of living. So, for instance, we can think of what time we go to bed or how much sleep we get, or the foods we choose to eat as being components of a standard of living. And so if we're getting better at something, we're leveling up, let's say, in life, those foods that we used to eat, maybe the junk food that used to give us that quick fix, but then give us the sugar crash and make us feel guilty and not our best, those foods are not as appealing anymore. I can speak from personal experience. I don't eat those foods anymore, and I've noticed that I don't only not crave those foods as much, but they're just not worth it. The quick fix, it's not justified, because in the long run, it makes me feel worse. Okay, second reason, it makes you more choosy with your time. You don't choose to associate with those who aren't a part of making you better in any way. And that can be broad and vague. But chances are, if we've chosen to give up some of the vices of our past, we're not gonna want to surround ourselves with people who still are indulging in those vices all the time, or maybe whose lives are super, they get fulfillment from those vices. It's just, it doesn't do the same for us anymore. And we're not gonna want to associate with those because it makes us feel like we're going backwards. Again, that's not coming from a place of ego. I think that can be super misunderstood. It's coming from, again, a place of wanting to make sure that we're challenging ourselves and surrounding ourselves with those who will only do better for us, and make us do better for ourselves. Okay, number 3, it makes you achieve results that you didn't think were possible in the past. So, you're not gonna think before you start improving and making diligent efforts to improve, that you're going to get as far as you're going to. Part of the reason for that is because improvement is a slow process, and slow processes require a lot of discipline, and you don't see the results overnight. A lot of self-improvement takes years to truly get your best at. And when we think of life in day increments, or we think of it in week increments or month increments, we don't think about it in terms of years in the very long term. And with how slow progress is on a daily or a weekly or a monthly or even a yearly basis, we don't think that if we invest multiple years into growth and self-development, we're going to achieve the things that we can achieve. And that's why it's a long game, and it's important to play for the long term. Life is long. And lastly, it makes you enjoy the smaller things. Like, for me, sitting out here, not indulging in a bunch of vices, not being super intoxicated, I'm just sitting here after having worked out and just winding down, filming this video for you all, and just feeling my emotions and expressing them, expressing these ideas that I've come up with. So, like small walks, sitting here, talking to you all, you find when you give up on vices and you seek to get ahead, you don't need as much of a dopamine hit in order to feel fulfillment. And I'll film a future video on this. There's whole tons of videos like this on YouTube, on this topic rather, of like detoxing from dopamine hits. It's called like a dopamine detox, right? It's definitely a legitimate thing. And if you reward yourself with less large of hits, less artificially large hits, you find the small pleasures impact you more and make you crave those more than the big artificial dopamine hits. So, getting ahead is a process. It's a lifelong process. And if we're looking at it right, we never truly arrive. There's always things that we can do to improve. However, I would encourage us to continue along the road. Even though there are days that we feel as though it's not worth it to continue trying to get ahead because it's tough. We might feel exhausted. We might feel burnt out. I still have those days all the time. In fact, today was one of those days. But I still chose to stick to the plan, and I'm happy that I did. We're almost never unhappy when we choose to be disciplined and get to the other side of a hard day of being disciplined and choosing discipline. The opposite is definitely true, though, for when we choose to indulge and not continue to get ahead. Let me know what you think. Hope this video spoke to you. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, morning, afternoon, and keep striving to get better than you were yesterday. Thanks. Take care.